All right. Well, first of all, I feel like I'm speaking to the A team here, so I'm not sure exactly what information I can give you, but uh, as the slide says, I'm Rick Webb. I haven't met all of you, but I am a member of the TO Photo Group. I've been so for about 8 years. And I know that the photo group is really a group of photographers, some of whom travel. I would say I'm more of a traveler who takes photographs. And so in my case, in my wife's case, we travel quite a bit. I mean, sometimes 3 and 4 times internationally. Just got back from Egypt and Switzerland and places like that. And so I take a lot of pictures and make photo books. And so in the past, I've linked up with a couple other photo clubs, just talking about the travel photo books, and that's really what this is all about. And I'll just get into how I do it, and you can ask me questions about my particular method, and I'll show you a couple of examples of what I do. And by no means do I think I'm in the photographic quality of some of the people in this group, but we'll see how this goes, and hopefully you get at least 1 or 2 tidbits that might help you. So let's move on here. So the purpose of the presentation really is to provide you with some strategies on how to make meaningful photo books from your travels or special events, and how to, or encourage you to capture and retain memories of the trip, how to inform others and entertain others, and then also document travels. And then, kind of the fourth pier or leg of that is to have some photographic artistry. I don't go to places just to take photographs. I think Carl Volpe was supposed to be on this Zoom session. He goes to places just to take photographs. We don't do that. And you'll see here in a minute, I tend to be more people centric. I like talking to people, interacting with people, having cultural exchanges with people. But I do take photographs along the way, and hopefully my books show that. So this is the reason, the purpose of the presentation. I know this is, in other presentations I've had to say this, but in this group I don't have to, but I have to assume that you can edit photographs with your chosen editing program. Either you shoot JPEGs or you can edit your raw stuff, which I assume everybody here can
Hey,
do.
hey, Rick, I wonder if you can move your cursor from the screen.
This will be a
Yes.
pointer. I'll be using this as a laser pointer, but I'll stick it up here. Is that better for you?
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I'm assuming everybody can do their own edits, and then also that you understand the basics of creating and maintaining an organizational file structure for your photos. And you'll see here in a few minutes how important that is to me, for me to keep all these photos organized in my head. And I was hopefully, I hope Carl was going to be here, but I'm going to try to channel my inner Carl Volpe on some of the photos here. We'll see. So I say signs everywhere, blocking out the scenery, breaking my mind, which was a photo. Which was a song back in the day. One of the things that happens when we're traveling, my wife literally identifies signs. Anywhere we go, I'm always taking pictures of signs because I will incorporate those signs into the book. Sometimes signs are just telling me where the location is, but other times signs will give us information about the location or gives me something to remember about the location. So, obviously these are signs to different countries in the EU. This was a sign from Poland that I captured. We ended up going up to Eagle's Nest in Austria. This is Kiel Steinhaus. It's not a great photo. I understand that. It's not something we're going to show at the TO Photo Group challenges, but it helps me remember. And this is actually a screenshot of a book. It helps me remember where this is, and then later in the book, I'll have the artistic photos of Eagle's Nest. Again, my wife goofing around at the baboons sign. Obviously, we're at penguins. We went to wineries, so I'm taking pictures of the winery signs, etc. This is a sign. Doesn't mean anything to you. Does anybody know where this is? a place called Mike's Place, and it was in Tel Aviv, in the right next to the American Embassy, and it was bombed um, during the first or second Intifada, and it was rebuilt by the Israelis. And so we ended up having some dinner there, and so I took this photo, or I had somebody take the photo. Not a great photo, but it's the only one I have, and it's the sign is really important. Again, anywhere I go, I'm taking pictures of signs and emblems and etchings, graffiti. This was at the Flight 92 Memorial. This was in South Africa, kind of a shocking sign talking about whites only, but it tells a story that is important for the book because we spent quite a bit of time in Johannesburg understanding how apartheid affected the lives of people there. So signs are a very big part of my photo books. The other thing I will do in my photo books, and you'll see here in just a minute, I will make maps of our travels. Sometimes, sometimes the maps are a little bit convoluted. This was actually the trip into Czech Republic, Austria, and over in Poland. And we had different little side trips, and all these side trips are highlighted in the book. But it just helps me, 3 or 4 years later, go back and kind of remember where we were because we travel so much, I just can't remember everything that happens during the trip. So I like maps a lot. Another map. Lately, I've been using maps, and then I will actually do an itinerary as well. So the book is somewhat organized according to this itinerary. And then here's the book of the various stops. This was a Morocco trip. So the itinerary includes where we are and what hotels we went to. And again, it works for me. I'm fascinated by flags. And as you know, the world can change very quickly. And countries can go away, countries can be overthrown. And so anytime we go anywhere, even into states, but mostly international travel, I actually find copies of flags and put those in my books, usually on the cover or on the back. I think it's kind of cool just to see the flags, and it's just something that I do. Pardon me, I was telling Mike I got diagnosed with pneumonia this morning, so potentially pneumonia, so I'm kind of coughing. One of the things, I know we all take personal photos. And again, I'm a traveler that takes photographs. I'm not a photographer who travels. And so I'm always traveling with kind of a theme in mind. What is happening on the trip? What personalities, including with my wife or my family, what little picadillos have come out with them on that particular trip. And you'll find here in a few minutes that they end up being kind of the soft butt of some jokes in the book. But I'm trying to capture the moments that are important to us and that we can remember, that we can go back and fondly just think about. That was a really great time. In this particular case, you can see a little sign right here. It's Madikwe Safari Lodge. We're obviously stopped for what is known as sundowners in Africa, which to me is the most important part of going to Africa is the sundowners, which you get to have cocktails at sundown. Again, this isn't a keeper display photograph. This is a photograph that we just put in the book. iPhones work great. This is an iPhone photograph that we took. This particular photograph, my son and daughter-in-law found this place in South Africa that served $1 oysters. Would I remember that 5 years from when it happened? Probably not. So I included this particular photograph in the book, so I remember it. It was a really fun day or two that we would go to this place, eat oysters, and hang around the piers. Again, just a little portrait photo, or not portraits, but on the scene, typical, traveler type photographs, not something we display at TO Photo Group, but certainly something that's important to our life. Um, almost every restaurant we go to, not everyone, but almost everyone, we're always taking pictures of the menus, and sometimes it kind of comes out fun. In this particular case, it was Rick's Cafe in Casablanca, Morocco. It wasn't the Rick's, but it was a takeoff on obviously the movie Casablanca. So again, it's just a fond memory, and I'll weave that in the book. One of the things I like to do when it's important to do or when it's interesting is I like photos of the rooms we stay in. Not all the time, but we've traveled so much that I can literally at the end of a trip not remember exactly what the room looked like or what the room service was like or the meals or any of that kind of stuff. So I started taking pictures of the rooms. In this particular case, I actually stole this picture from the lodge. It's not my photograph or photographs, but when other people look at the books that we have, and they're usually about 75 to 100 pages, they can see this. They can, they have an interest in going to South Africa. You try to describe to them what it's like to stay in a lodge there, and they don't even understand. They think they're going into some third world environment when in fact it's very much first world. So I include this in my books as well. In every place I go to, I do my best to interact with people. I will talk to people. I will sit with them. I will joke with them. I will do my best to communicate somehow with them. One of my favorite things to do is take photos of people and then show them the photograph. For example, I was in China taking pictures of a little girl, and this guy that was doing kung fu in the park sees this, and he comes running over to me, and I'm thinking I'm going to be in a fight that I'll probably lose, and he just wanted to see the photograph. So I ended up taking photographs of him and this little girl, and that's really what started me on wanting to interact with people because it makes for great photographs, and it kind of breaks down the barrier between us and them, whoever them are. This particular Egyptian man was just sitting by the museum. He wasn't asking for money. He just was sitting there, and I saw him, and I asked through an interpreter. I said, "You're one of the most interesting people I've seen. Can I take your photo?" And so we started taking photographs, but then I started sitting next to him and spent about a half hour with the guy. And it was really a nice moment. And I ended up getting a decent photograph out of it. Same thing with some of our travel mates. This is a doctor who he has a habit of challenging kids to thumb wars wherever he goes. And so I was set up for this, knowing that he was going to challenge this kid. And it makes for very, very sweet moments. And they're always in our photo books. So my recommendation is it's nice to take pictures of animals. It's nice to take pictures of scenery and churches and stuff. But having that human connection for travel and then incorporating that into the book, for me, is very satisfying. Again, we just, for some reason, these two Egyptian women stopped my dear neighbor and travel mate and wanted to take selfies. So I backed up and started taking pictures of them. And this is really one of my favorite photos to capture so much in just one photograph of just how the nice the Egyptians were, how nice my neighbor is. It was really a tender moment. So my recommendation when you travel is to look for the human connection. Is everybody up to speed on this? Am I going too fast, too slow? We're good? I do like to try to do get some artistic photographs. Again, I won't pretend to be, the best photographer around, but I will take time to go try to take artistic photographs and incorporate those into the book. But I don't spend a lot of time doing it. I just don't have the patience to go sit in a meadow somewhere and try to take photographs for hours. So typically the photographs I'm taking are pretty much on the run. But it's important, I think, to get some artistic photographs in there. One, it gives a little bit of self-actualization, and it is really the challenge of the trip, to be kind of on the move, but yet still get good photographs. So, and also I like to enter those in the challenges, so I can improve my photographic skills. So I do stop and try to do some um, artistic photography, but it certainly is not the primary goal of when I take a camera somewhere. So uh, when we travel, probably like you, my wife is taking photos with her iPhone. Now that we travel with neighbors and friends, they're taking photographs usually just on their phones. And all of these photographs are coming to me, and I have to somehow organize these things because they know that I'm going to be the one, poor soul, that is going to make the book. So the first thing that you have to do with a real camera, your DLSR or your mirrorless, or your pocket camera, they've got to be synchronized to local time. I usually will sync them up with the exact time between my iPhone and my cameras, because eventually you're going to combine all of this. And I end up using the metadata, basically the date and time that photographs are taken, to separate these photographs out so that I can make sense of those and ultimately upload those in a certain order. So you got to sync your cameras to local time, or Greenwich Mean Time. I talked a little bit about traveling with a working narrative. As I said, I'm trying to find a theme to run through the trip. With our friends that we went to in Morocco, one of their luggages was lost, and that became kind of an undercurrent for the entire trip. And the lady ended up not having many clothes, and so we had to go shopping and stuff. But I kind of worked that into the book, making fun of her for wearing the same underwear for a week and a half. But you can only do that with good friends. But so that was the theme. The thumb wars could be the theme. Whatever theme is important to you or what is fun. When we went to Africa, my daughter-in-law kept talking about baby elephants, so her nickname became Baby Ellie. And you'll see how I wove that in there as well. Travel company itineraries are really important, I think, for putting your book together. If you're going to try to do it a chronology, and in my particular case, I do a chronology and I do a very brief narrative of pretty much every major day. You can keep journals or notes. I'm horrible at this. My wife does a pretty good job of it. And again, the reason I take pictures of signs, monuments, banners, graffiti, menus is so that I can tie all this together with information without a lot of dialogue. One piece of graffiti I did not put into this presentation. I took a picture of some graffiti in Venice, Italy, that basically said F Airbnbs. And it's not something that I would even, I blacked it out in the book, but the whole notion of Airbnbs in Venice is a huge issue right now, because Italians are being forced out of Venice, moving into the other parts of outside of Venice. So they have to commute every day, and the whole area is being overrun with Airbnbs, which has destroyed rents and home ownership and stuff. So it's a big, big issue. So that piece of graffiti made it into my book, but I did black out the cuss word. But graffiti is important. Smartphone GPS photos. I will actually use the iPhone GPS to remember where a lot of the photographs were taken, or I'll use the map feature on Lightroom to actually make a map of the exact travels that we have. So the workflow that I use is I get all my photos, all cards, all iPhone photos from my friends, family, anybody that wants to be part of the book. I get all of that. And then I put it into a pre-made file structure that I use in Lightroom. And I'll get into that here in 2nd. I use the X and P feature of Lightroom extensively. You know, go to Africa, take 4,000 photos. I'm shooting for maybe 250 left, if that. People that keep 10,000 photos of a trip, I think, are making a mistake. So the X, I'm sure you know, if you put X on a photo, that means it's slated to be deleted. P means you're picking it. And you can even get more granular than that. But I curate. So I go through all of those photos. I choose the ones that I want to process or use, and then I mark the other ones for deletion. I do not delete the photos until everything is done. So, you know, you can filter by the flag status in Lightroom. Here you can filter, say, I want to just show all the selected photos or all of the deleted photos. I don't delete the photos to be deleted until I'm completely done, because every once in a while something will pop up and you know, there's a photo that I didn't like, but then I go back and maybe I'm going to use later. Edit, of course, and then you can upload the photos to your publishing website. And here's the file structure I use, and I'm sure that you all have your own different file structures that make sense to you. So let's say in 2018 here, for January, the month 01, that's New Year's, or New Year's Day, I should be Eve, New Year's Day. I put all my photos into that. And then for, say, on the January 25th, I went hiking in Colorado. And then in February, on February 10, we took off to go to Africa. So what I do now, I used to, well, it doesn't matter what I used to do. I put all photos, all the iPhone photos, every single photo I can get into one big folder under Africa, because I can sort these and by any kind of metadata I want using Lightroom. Once I have those photos set up, then I actually export them into a processed file. So let's say on February 11th, we were in Johannesburg. Now you'll see here, here's February 11th. Then on February 13th, we're in Cape Town. Well, what happened for the 12th and 13th? We were still in Johannesburg. I just didn't have like 500 photos that I had to separate out. So I know from my own system, on February 11th, I was in Johannesburg, and the photos from the 11th and the 12th were all in this folder. Same thing for the 13th in Cape Town. We were there from the 13th, 14th, 15th. Same thing with Victoria Falls. But let's say I go on a safari to Kruger National Park. We went to Kruger on February 19th. I actually separated those photos out because there were a lot of photos. February 20th, separated those photos out. February 21st, separated those photos out. So when I keep stuff like this organized, so these are all the photos, only the ones I want selected for the book are in this particular folder, and then in these subfolders are by date and location or event, because I'm going to upload these in this particular way. So I cannot do a book at a single sitting. My books end up being about 100 pages, 75 pages maybe. And so I will spend an hour, maybe a day. So what I would do is, because I have an organized file structure, these are completed photos, I will just upload the Johannesburg photos up to the website, the publisher's website, and that's it. I'm not going to upload everything else. I will not move forward until I get Johannesburg completely done and I'm satisfied with that particular section of the book. Then I'll upload Cape Town. When I get done with that, then I'll upload Victoria Falls, then Kruger, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What I don't want to do is upload 400 photographs and get totally lost because I've been there, done that. It's not very fun. So that's the way I do it. You can do it any way you want, but that's just my system.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
So on the processed ones, do you actually move the photo from the raw into processed, or do you have two copies of the same photo?
I do not move raw. I just export it into processed. So it's it's a copy. It's a copy.
All right. Thanks.
And you know, the other thing I've done, and I don't know if this is the right thing to do. You know, I showed you the photos of us just, you know, goofing around and at the airport or whatever. I don't keep those raw pictures anymore. You know, you start getting old and you know, we're not going to be around forever. And my family does not want to go through 100,000 raw photos, and they don't even know what to do with them. So if they're just memories, I'm now starting to just keep the raw photos. I mean, keep the JPEGs. And if the raw photos that I keep will be the ones that I think I can work on later, that I might be able to use, you know, for example, the masking features of Lightroom keep getting better and better. So I keep what I call the artistic photos, or the photos that I may want to further process. I'll keep those raw photos, but other than that, I'm trying to curate the unnecessary raw photos down. I don't know if that's heresy or not, but for me, I think my family will just probably want JPEGs. They're not going to know what to do with raw photos because I don't have a photographer to take over my stuff. So there we go.
Hey, Rick.
Yes, sir.
This is Alex. I have a question. How many, oops, sorry.
How many what, Alex?
How many photos per book and per page?
You know, I'll go through it here, a book here pretty quick.
Okay.
And you can take a look, and sometimes it's 2 photos because you can actually have a spread across the centerfold. Or I may have, you know, in Egypt, you know, they have all these hieroglyphics. I may just take little individual pictures of these hieroglyphics, put it all on one page with 20 photos, and that's what it is. It just really depends. And it also depends on the size of the book. I usually use an 8.5 by 11 book, but there are bigger books that I've done, and then you can put more photos per page, or obviously bigger photos.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll get into the different publishers here in a second. Again, I haven't tried every publisher. I just tried, I've tried 4 different publishers. And so right now, my choice of publishers is Mixbook. I find the software to be very, very easy to use. But Mixbook does have some problems that just arose for me. But it's a web-based, there's nothing to download. It's just a web-based program. You get a membership, which is free. You upload your photos, you start a project, and you know, you can drag your photos into the screen, or there's preset layouts. One of the things that I don't do, you know, I know there are people who like little stickers and graphics and all this other stuff. I don't care for any of that stuff. I just want a photo book with the photographs, some text that is meaningful. I'll use a few flags, a few stickers, but I don't like, you know, vacation and happiness and all that other stuff. Maybe it's because I'm a curmudgeon. I don't know. But and the other thing, I particularly do not like white colored books. I've made them. But I like darker books, mainly because I think it makes the photographs look better, just like a black screen. So most of my books nowadays are darker. So this is the cover. You know, Mixbook is very simple. You can literally drag your photograph there. What I like about Mixbook is it actually centers your photographs. As you drag it around, it tells you when the photograph is exactly centered. But what's kind of cool is you can make this any way you like it, move it over, and you can see the line that's going up and down. I know this this photograph is centered exactly in the center vertically on the, or actually centered horizontally on the, I guess it'd be vertically on the book. Okay, so it's very, very easy to do. You don't like it, you know, you can just remove it, you know, and get another photograph and put there if you want, and you get kind of the same template. Very easy to do. Usually this is what I call the iconic photo of the trip, or I use flags on our Egypt trip. I actually, because I'm going to gift some books to my my friends, I actually have photos of them on it as well. So it's real simple to do. You just drag it in there and off you go. The other thing that Mixbook does, and Shutterfly basically does the same thing. You look up here in the upper left-hand corner, it says layouts. And what's kind of cool is it'll give you various layouts. You can just run your mouse over the various layouts for the number of pictures that you desire on the book. So I want just one photo on the book, and here's the various layouts, and it'll kind of give you an idea what the photo layout is going to look like. So I want that layout. I go up here to photographs, drag my photograph there, and I'm done. Now, the other part, it's real simple to put in text. You know, you just click on the text box, add text. You can drag it. And again, what's kind of cool, you know, we can put, what is this, Morocco? And, you know, you can drag this around and it will automatically center or let you know where dead center is as well. It's very, very easy to change the fonts. You just come over here, change it to whatever font you want. You can change the size, you can change the color. And then you can also, if you want, you can do borders and things like that. Very, very easy to do. You know, let's say we want a red border for some idiotic reason. Make sense? So I talked a little bit about narratives. I'm always taking photos of people in the airport. It's not exciting, but or I have a waiter take a picture of us here. Our friends and us, we went to Morocco, and so that's the start of the book. You know, I want a picture of all four of us. We know this is a start of the book. We're in the airport. We're getting ready to go. And then there's a little bit of a story that I tell about us getting on Air Canada, soon to be an important aspect of this trip because they lost our luggage. And also the Canadians were the only ones to mask on the planet at the time. Nobody else was masking anywhere on the planet except Canada. So I was kind of making fun of the Canadians then. Almost always have a relatively lengthy narrative. Sometimes I'll talk about how we came upon the trip or what happened during the trip. Interesting things that may overshadow the trip, not overshadow, but affect the trip, etc. I talked a little bit about maps. So I do the itinerary right here, which I already typed in. Then I just go find my map. And there we go. Now, what's kind of cool here is I have one photograph here. It's actually a scanned JPEG. I just printed it out. And I don't want to deal with having to, you know, resize it and all that stuff. So all I have to do is go over here to layouts, layout. It's only one page. I want it to be, look like that. There we go. Very easy.
But
The other thing, go ahead.
May I ask a question? Do you
Yeah.
adjust the resolution of the image?
You know, you don't need, I do actually, I upload the highest resolution I can. I shoot micro 4/3, so I don't typically have massive files. But with Mixbook, like the the um, the JPEG I just did of the map, that thing was maybe, oh gosh, what's a regular photograph? Something like
300 DPIs?
yeah, but it's that, and but sometimes they're a little bit granular, and it just
Oh, okay. So then you have a lower resolution.
it can happen. In this particular book, I I I scanned it at a high resolution, I think at 300 DPI, and it came out pretty well. I have actually taken like that photograph of we saw Mike's. I don't know what the resolution of that thing was, but it was pretty granular. But if I have to, I'll just put it in the book and live with it.
Oh.
Yeah. I figure the memory is more important than the quality of the photograph. Not all the time, but many times. The other thing is, does that answer your question, Alex?
Yes.
Okay. The other thing you can do, I like mixed books. Not every book company will allow you to do this. Is you can in mixed book you can actually do spreads across 2 pages. So let's say I want to do a spread here. It's kind of neat. You can do a spread. You can do it. You can center it, or you can do it off center. You can have a little bit of narrative here, or you can have a couple of other photographs here. Make them big or small, whatever you want. You could do something like this. So the only reason I left this, again, this is kind of a mocked up book, but the only reason I showed you this is you can do spreads. So if you do have an artistic photo that you want to display in your book, this is one way to do it. And I think it works out pretty well using spreads. And here's a spread right here. So Alex, you asked me, how many photos I do. Keep in mind that each page here is 8.5 by 11. So I don't know what this photo would be. It's probably 10 inches or so. Other photos are mixed in there. So this is kind of how my books end up looking. I have a little information about what Rabat is about. So usually 2, 3, sometimes more photos per page. Sometimes more, sometimes less.
Is that your real book?
Is this a real book?
Yeah, is it your real book or not?
This is a real book that I copied because I deleted some photos to put in the photos again for this demonstration. But this actually is a real book, yeah.
Okay, because you're not consistent with the images, like sides and borders.
The size and what?
Size of the image regarding the border of the page.
No, I'm not. It's a
Okay.
scrapbook. It's not a portfolio. So here, obviously, there's different what would you call it, margins, and it's different here.
Oh, okay.
It's different here. Obviously, the space between the photographs is different here than it is here. It's about the same there. Now, one thing you can do I think with Mixbook and Shutterfly is you can automatically upload your photos and actually automatically have it populate the book. And you probably would get absolute consistency on the space between the photos. For example, this is totally different. Here's different spaces here. Obviously, this is kind of an overlay. I just find it more visually appealing, and I'm trying to make it more like a scrapbook, not necessarily a a portfolio, if that makes sense. If I was going to do a portfolio, it would be a different story. I actually have done a book years ago of my favorite photographs, and it actually every single page is exactly the same. But this is just my choice. So there we have it.
So when you were showing your workflow, you work on each day, you said in order, and you go down, you get those done.
Yep.
And each time one chunk's done, you upload it.
Yes.
And I'm guessing that the film strip there on your left, those are in chronological order. So as you go down through that, you keep turning the pages and everything flows, if you will.
Generally, yes. Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll get, for some reason, something will happen and photo didn't get uploaded right or something, or I go back and realize, God dang it, I just made I have a 100-page book and I want to throw another photo in there. So sometimes I get out of order, but not often. Most generally, I will upload these things in chronological order. The other thing too, which is kind of nice, is on Mixbook, you can do the hide used photos, because you will see here, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photos, about 350, I think. And so being able to hide those also helps me organize, but absolutely, they've got to be in chronological order, or else it'll just be a mess for me. I have a limited hard drive in my head, so this is the way I got to do it. Okay, we good?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so we've done this. Almost always with the books, as I said, I didn't know if I made sense of it, but I do look for people's personalities during the trip. For example, that doctor was the thumb war guy. I might nickname him Thumb War, or bully, because he was bullying the kids. Of course, he'd lose every battle he ever got into with the kid, but just having a fun time. So here, my daughter-in-law, her Baby Ellie. So her nickname on this trip became Baby Ellie. My wife, every time we go, we can't pass a shop without her buying something, so she got nicknamed Tchotchke. I tend to drink a little bit of beer, and then we're driving by, and my son goes, "Daddy, yep." And even the guide missed it, and my son heard wild dogs when nobody else did. So I started calling him the dog whisperer, but his name is now Daddy Yip. It's just kind of fun, so we remember what took place. Here, our good friend was without underwear for a while, so I was making fun of her. My good buddy Chuck absolutely hates Air Canada now.
Can you go to the previous page, please?
Sure can.
Is that like a single page?
It's a single page, yeah.
Oh.
Absolutely a single page.
So you work by single pages or double pages when you work in the book?
I will actually work on a spread. What happens as you make the book, you end up getting kind of crunched at the end. And I believe at the time on the African books, this was actually through Costco. I think there was a 100-page limit, and I was right at the limit. So I had to put these on one page. So sometimes I'm working on one page. Generally, I'm working on two. So I try to get a 2-page view to make the, like, I don't like a section. Let's say we're going from Johannesburg to Cape Town. I don't like them on the same spread to switch from Johannesburg to Cape Town. I want, when you turn the page, that will be Cape Town. But every once in a while, you just get kind of jammed up at the end, and I end up working on a single page. This is always the last page of the book, always the last page for me. A little bit about the companies. I use Mixbook quite a bit, but they've irritated me recently. I called them up and asked for samples of their paper, and they said, "We will not send you samples." And I even explained that I was putting on the seminar, and they just didn't care. They only have a few different kind of mattish type paper finishes, and I'm a little bit irritated over that. The other thing that I've recommended to mix books several times was some of the companies, particularly like Pro DPI, which is a great printing company. I believe that you can do books there. They're very expensive, mostly for weddings and that kind of stuff. But you can actually get a book. So you put a box for the book. So you put the customized book in a customized box. You can put other little memorabilia inside, whether it's money or menus or photos that you had taken that didn't make it into the book. Those kind of things can go into a box. Mixed book would simply not do that. And so I'm going to probably try Shutterfly or Blurb next time. I can tell you that the costs of these books now, I just did a 100-page book for Egypt with a 40% coupon, and it was expensive. It was like $160 some per book. And it gets a little pricey when you're giving your neighbors one as well. But I looked at pricing, and it's about the same across the board. So Costco, as you know, shut down their photographic services and now switched that over to Shutterfly. I can't remember exactly how I got into Shutterfly with the Costco attachment to it. I believe I went through Costco.com and then went over from Costco to Shutterfly and all that married up. That, or I went on to Shutterfly and put in my Costco membership number. And in that particular case, you get what they say is 50% off. Whether that's legitimate, I don't know. And Alex, you asked whether it's per project or per book. I don't know. Blurb uses Mohawk paper, which is, as you know, is really top quality paper. Blurb also has an integration with Lightroom, which I'm just starting to learn how to use. Alex, you talked about kind of a lower budget book. I don't know if you know it, but you can actually make PDF books within Lightroom as well. So you can actually make a PDF, you make your book through Blurb, and you can actually print it to a PDF and actually print it out at your desktop. Whether that is a high quality photograph when you print it out, I have no idea, but it's something that you can do.
Yeah, there is a lot of software you can make PDFs.
Yeah, well, it does it automatically in Lightroom. I did it yesterday, as a matter of fact. And I don't have a printer where I'm at. I'm actually in kind of a remote location right now. But it is an option. And Blurb has coupons as well, very frequently. I saw one yesterday for 40%. Never, ever buy a book at full retail. There are always coupons out there. The other thing is Microsoft Edge, I believe. I typically use Firefox is my browser of choice, but Microsoft Edge actually has a feature built into it that when you make a purchase, let's say you're going to buy a t-shirt from some company, it will automatically scan the internet and see if there are valid coupons out there to apply to your particular purchase. And so let's say you need some quick photographs at Walgreens, which we'll do. We'll take some pictures of the grandson, and I'm going to hand them over to my son. I just do it through Microsoft Edge, and almost invariably I will get 50% off just by Microsoft Edge finding a coupon automatically. So consider using Microsoft Edge when you do make the purchase. If you like using your Mac, using Safari or whatever your browser of choice is, that's fine. But then once that whole project is done, you can always sign on using Edge and see if you can get a coupon. I've mentioned a little bit about Pro DPI. You have to send them a note or an email saying that even if you're not a professional, you're a dedicated amateur, and they'll let you purchase through them. Their stuff is top quality, but it's very, very expensive. If I was going to put together a wedding book or something like that, I would definitely use them. But you're going to drop $300 or $400 on a book. But these are the only companies I've used. other than back when Costco was still in existence. And that's it. I know you all probably travel. We travel quite a bit. The one thing I will say is, on one hand, you want to put down your camera to enjoy the experience. I've been on trips with people, they just literally see the entire trip through their viewfinder, and I don't get it. I don't understand what they're doing. But on the other hand, I think you need to be, as I call, armed at all times. This particular photograph I just got when I was walking to dinner one night. Fortunately, I had a camera with a flash. As a matter of fact, it's the only flash photo I took the entire trip. And I got the photo of this little guy. It's a bush baby just peeking out at me. And so you got to have a camera with you at all times, but just put the camera down once in a while and just be there for the moment. We were in Africa, we're watching elephants or lions or something. I was there with my family, and I actually put my camera away and just was thankful for the moment to be there. So that's one travel tip. The other tip I talked a little bit about, try to make that personal connection. I was talking a little bit to Mike about street photography, and I realized I'm not really a street photographer. I'm maybe just more of a personal interaction photographer. So I enjoy it. And I think you'll find that almost all around the world, you'll find that people are very friendly, and they make for really good, fun conversations and sometimes some good photographs, I think. And that is what I have to say.